Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial I'm going to show you a technique called the Dave Hill effect. I actually had somebody comment on one of my last videos and say that they would like to see a tutorial on this, and that's why I'm doing this. And it's actually a really cool effect, so I hope you enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that we need to do is open up our image in Adobe Photoshop. You can use pretty much any image for this. I find that it works well on a number of different kinds of images, whether it has a lot of definition or not that much, if the color ranges are differ or not, or if the highs and lows in the shadowing are I guess what I'm getting at is it works well on a number of different images. Okay, so go ahead and open your image in Adobe Photoshop and go ahead and make a copy of that background layer. If your layers palette's not open, go up to Window at the top, down to Layers, and open up that layers palette. Okay, so make a copy of that background layer. You can drag that layer down into your layers palette, or you can press Control Shift J, or actually it's just Control J to make a copy of that layer. The reason we do this is to make it as non-destructive as possible. This technique to keep it simple is a little bit more destructive than some of the other techniques that I have done recently, but if you make that copy of the background layer, you can always go back to that if you make a mistake. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'll click off that background layer, and I have this this copy here. And I'm actually going to make a copy of the copy. So you can press Control J, or you can just take that new layer and drag it down into that new layer button once again. So I'll press Control J. Now I have two brand new layers of the exact same thing. Okay, now with this topmost layer selected, what you want to do is you want to go up to Filter, down to Other, and to High Pass. Once you do that, set the radius to 4 and go ahead and click OK. And then what you want to do is you want to set your your blending mode for that layer to Vivid Light. Okay? And once you do that, go ahead and click on both of these layers, and you can press Control E on your keyboard to merge them, or you can go up to Layers at the top, down to Merge Layers. Okay, and that'll make it one layer. So as you can see, already this is kind of destructive. You can certainly do it in a non-destructive way, but to keep things simple, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to merge layers so that we can keep things straight. Okay, so now we have these two layers once again, and I'm going to make a copy of that layer that we just merged. So I have two of these layers again. And what I want to do is, with my topmost layer selected, I want to go up to Filter again, down to Other, and down to High Pass once again. And this time I want to set it to 6.9 pixels for the radius and click OK. I want to go up to the blending mode, and I want to change it to color this time. And I want to set the opacity to 40%. And I'll click Enter. And once again, I'm going to select those two layers. I'm going to hold Shift and click on the top layer, and then click on the layer right beneath it. And I'll go up to Layer, down to Merge Layers, or you could press Control E on your keyboard to merge those two layers once again. Okay? Alright, so now that we've done that, we're back at having this one functional layer and our original background. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make a copy of this layer once again. So I'm going to press Control J on the keyboard, or you could have, once again, you could have drug it down into this new layer button. With that topmost layer selected, go ahead and go up to Filter, down to Blur, and to Gaussian Blur. And go ahead and set the Gaussian Blur to 9.4 pixels and click OK. Go up to Filter, down to Noise, Add Noise. Set that to 3 with the distribution of uniform and monochromatic, and click OK. Alright, now with that layer selected, go up to Layer, down to create. Let's see. We want to go to Layer up at the top. We want to go to Layer Mask, and we want to go to Hide All. Okay? And then with that layer mask selected that we added to this layer, go ahead and click on your lasso tool and select around the eyes of all of the subjects in your image here. So you're going to have to hold down Shift to add to that selection, Shift, and then click and drag around the eyes. I'm even going to go ahead and do the fish's eye here. Okay, so now I have all the eyes in the picture selected, and what I want to do is go up to Select, down to Modify, and down to Feather, and I want to add a feather radius of 6 pixels and click OK. And then I want to go up to Select at the top and go to Inverse, or you could press Shift-Control-I. Okay, so now I have the inverse selected of that, and I still have the layer mask selected. Next thing I want to do is I want to select my brush on my tool palette on the left side here. I want to make sure white is on top, black is on the bottom. If they're not that way, go ahead and click on your default colors, and they should be that way. The default colors are these small ones right above your larger color palette. If black is on top and white's on the back, you can certainly click these two arrows here to switch back and forth. But you want white on top and black in the back. And at the very top of your screen, set the opacity to 30% for that brush. Make the brush size pretty big, and you can do that up at the top here at this drop down. Make the brush size pretty big. Mine's at 800, and you can set the hardness to 100%, because we're just going to go ahead and brush now over the entire image. And that you'll see that everything will get blurred out a little bit, other than the eyes that you have not selected. If you don't think the blurring's enough, feel free to hit it again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it again with that brush. Okay? So after you do that, you go ahead and press Control D on the keyboard to deselect, or you can select your marked key tool and just click anywhere, and that will also deselect it. But now what we want to do is we want to click on that top layer, and we want to press hold down the Shift key and click on that second layer, and we want to go ahead and merge those layers again. So press Control E on your keyboard to go up to Layer, down to Merge Layers, and once again we've merged those two layers together. All right, now for our last step, with that only active layer selected, we want to go up to Filter. We want to go down to Sharpen, and we want to do an unsharp mask. So this is going to kind of sharpen up the image a little bit. What we want for the amount is 100%, the radius set to around 30 pixels, and the threshold, go ahead and set that to 0, and click OK. All right, and like I said, that was our last step. So as you can see, we are now done with this technique, and I'll show you where we started at. We started at something looking kind of like this, and we ended with something looking a lot like this. So depending on the image, it can make it look a little bit more cartoony, or it can just kind of enhance the highlights and lowlights in the image a lot. So you can see it's brought in a lot of definition in this fishing pole area and with the people, and it's kind of a really cool kind of sharpening up technique, and it kind of makes things look a little bit warped in color and contrast. I don't know if that's the best way to put it or not, but that's the way I did put it. So anyway, I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please, if you did, click the thumbs up button on YouTube, and please like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And thanks again.